All right, this is lesson 2-3, converting unit rates. This will be pages 139 to 142 in your workbook. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at are some common units of measure. So these are all things that you guys know. Like 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound. These things are all equal. Okay, 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. And we're going to use that relationship to convert between our units as we work through these problems. When we write units with a 1 in the bottom, it's going to be called a unit ratio. So you can see when we have 12 inches to 1 foot, that's a unit ratio. 16 ounces to 1 pound, another unit ratio. We can multiply anything by this ratio because it's equal to 1. All of these things are equal to 1. The same thing, it looks different. 100 centimeters looks different in words than 1 meter, but they are the exact same distance. Okay? Since they're both equal to 1 and we multiply them by a number, it does not change the number. It just changes how we're going to represent that number, what unit we're going to represent. Okay? And we're going to see how that's going to help us in some of our problems. So make sure you go back and refer to this section as we go through the unit, because all of these conversions are going to be useful as we work out some of these problems. All right, for our first problem, it says a remote control car travels at a rate of 10 feet per second. How many inches per second is this? So remember, we have to keep up with our units. We're not going to have numbers all over the place in these problems. Okay, so we start out with our 10 feet per second. That's the ratio they gave us right here, 10 feet per second. We know we want to end up with inches per second. So at the end, I want inches in the top and seconds in the bottom. What I'm going to have to do is multiply by one of those conversion factors. If you go back and look, you probably know this one, but 12 inches is 1 foot, right? So when we're going to use that same conversion factor to change out some of these units. So we start off with 10 feet per 1 second. Remember that line, per 1 second. Then we're going to multiply by 1. But when we multiply by 1, it's going to look like 12 inches is the same as 1 foot. And when we do that and we multiply across, you're going to see here the foot unit on the top and the foot unit on the bottom are going to cancel out. Okay? And when we do that, we're left with the 10 and the 12 inches on top. That's why we have it written on the top. And on the bottom, we're left with 1 second and 1, which is just 1 second. When we multiply 10 times 12, we get 120 inches divided by 1 second. So our final answer would be 120 inches per 1 second. Okay? We're going to try another question like that. This one is talking about a swordfish can swim at a rate of 60 miles per hour. How many feet per hour is this? So to do this question, we're going to be using this conversion right here. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So when we use this ratio, we're still multiplying by 1. Okay? So we start out with our original ratio, 60 miles per hour. So that's this part right here, 60 miles for 1 hour. Then we're multiplying by 1. But when we multiply by 1, it looks a little bit different. We're going to have our miles on the bottom and our feet on top. Okay, so we multiply through, and then as you can see on the next line, we do, the miles will cancel. So those miles and those miles cancel out. Miles on the top, miles on the bottom, cancel. What we have left is the 60 and the 5,280 feet, just like you see right here. And they're multiplying that. And then on the bottom is 1 hour and 1 right there. When they multiply those two numbers out, you're going to end up with this number, 316,800 feet per 1 hour. And that would be your final answer, okay? So the trick here really is knowing what conversion factor is going to help us cancel out those units so we get to the end of what we want. So remember, at the beginning, we wanted feet per minute was our goal. Feet on the top and minute on the bottom. I'm sorry, not minute, feet per mile. So we needed feet on the top and mile on the bottom. Okay? All right, on question number 3, I want you to look through this and see if you can figure out what they did and see if you can follow it through. On this one, they actually are using 2 conversions, okay? So we started off with 7 feet per second, and we were trying to get to feet per hour. So here's our feet per second right here. And our goal was feet per hour. So we needed to change 60 seconds into minutes and minutes into hours. So when we did that, we had double cancellations. We had the seconds cancel and we had the minutes cancel, okay? But again, remember, 60 seconds equals 1 minute. That's just multiplying times 1. And 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So that's multiplying by 1. We're not changing the problem. We're just changing how we represent the final answer. Instead of feet per second, we have feet per 1 hour. All right? I'm going to work out question A, and then I'm going to have you guys try question B. So question A says a gull can fly at a speed of 22 miles per hour. So I'm going to have the 22 miles for 1 hour, okay? About how many feet per hour can the gull fly? So we saw in the last question that 5,280 feet were equal to 1 mile. Since those two things are equal, I'm really only multiplying by 1. So it's okay, I can multiply my problem by 1, it does not change the problem. When I multiply these two numbers together, my miles on top and miles on bottom cancel. And so really, I'm just multiplying 5,280 times 22. Okay? And when I will work that out, I'm going to get 0, 6, 5, 10. Hopefully I'm adding this right. 0, 6, 5, and 1 is 6. 0 and 1 is 1. I got 116,160 on top. And my unit for that, don't forget, we have to keep our units, would be feet. 1 times hour times 1 is 1 hour. And so that would be my final answer for part A. Okay? So that would go here on A. You guys are going to do part B, and I'm going to check your answer in class tomorrow. All right. Last example here is the average speed of one team in a relay race is about 10 miles per hour. What is the speed in feet per second? So again, lots of conversions here. But if you just keep them straight and don't get confused, just keep multiplying by 1 until you get the right unit. Okay? We started off with 10 miles for 1 hour. That was given to us, 10 miles per hour. That's what we start with. Okay? Then we're going to tell us how do we get from miles to, remember our goal here is feet per second. So I'm just going to remind us that the end goal we want is feet per second. So we're going to try to get feet in the top, so that 5,280 in the top times over 1 mile. Okay, so that's our first ratio, unit ratio we're going to use. Then we're going to have to get the seconds in the bottom. So right now we have hours. So we're going to put 1 hour and 60 minutes, and that way our hours will cancel. Let me get a different color. So hours and hours will cancel, and miles will cancel. So now we have feet in the top. That's good because that's what we want at the end. But we have minutes in the bottom. We don't want minutes in the bottom. We want seconds in the bottom. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to multiply by this last ratio. This last ratio helps us because we can get rid of minutes in the top and minutes in the bottom. And our final ratio gives us the seconds in the bottom that we're looking for. So we've got seconds and feet. And those are all the units that are left. So now we know we're done. We just need to multiply the numbers. So we're going to multiply 10 times 5,280 times 1 on the top. That's what we've got here. And then on the bottom, we've got 1 times 60 times 60. And that's what it shows here. And when you multiply those two numbers through, we get these big numbers. And then they've simplified them down and divided so that we get the 1 in the bottom per 1 second. Okay? So there's your final answer, 14.7 feet per second. All right, these last two questions you guys are going to do, and I'm going to check in class. Please set them up so that you know, if we know we've got 8.34 pounds per 1 gallon, okay? Your end goal, it wants to know about how many ounces per gallon is the weight of the water. So again, our end goal is ounces in the top and gallons in the bottom. So what are you going to multiply by? What unit ratio are you going to multiply by to get those things to equal? Okay? And then over here, we're starting with 176 feet per 1 second. It wants to know how many feet per 1 minute at the end. You're going to find a unit ratio to multiply by 1 so that those units will cancel and you will end up with the correct units at the very end. Okay? All right, I actually want you to work these out. I'm going to be looking for the correct answers on your homework. And then before you're done, also rate yourself. Do you understand how to convert unit rates? Or do you still have some questions? Hopefully you understand and we're ready to move on. But check one of those and we'll see you in class tomorrow.